about 3 weeks ago we did the Midland Allen 78 Pro, latest version, and recording this in 2021. And I think we managed to get 3.5 watts out of it like we did its predecessor. It had some advantage, I can't remember what that was. And here we go with the Midland Allen 48, and I'm glad they've kept on with these because their current range of the M5, M10, M20, M30 I don't really think much to with their clunky menus, slow to go into transmit, slow to go out of menus, etc. So whether or not this is any better, we'll find out. Right, here we go. It may not be obvious to some people because I've just had an email. No, I haven't. I've had a comment on one of the videos that somebody's installed a CB radio, I think it's a TTI TCB 555, and that's immaterial, into a lorry that they've got, and they can't hear anybody on it. So the two things to comment on there: number one, aerials aren't plug and play. You've got to check the SWR. It can be wildly out. Number two is when radios are shipped from the factory, they're set up in EU mode. So it'll be 40 FM European set of channels. So if you're expecting to use the UK channels, of course you do have to tell the radio that you're in the UK. And that's what we're going to have to do right now with this one. So, move the stickers to one side. So, what does it say on the back? Don't know, I can't see with these glasses. Right, it says made in China. 5% transmit, 5% receive, standby 90%, and that's your duty cycle. So it does at least have a removable power lead still. And it looks much the same as its predecessor. Is this screwdriver going to be the right one? No. You know, the newer these sets get, when I take these apart, it's like you're taking self-tappers out. It's as if the threads aren't tapped properly. I've really got to take some pressure to this. So notice on the back, apart from external speaker and public address speaker sockets, you've got a 2.5mm S meter socket. May have to take the bottom off as well. And we're back to the loudspeaker not being pluggable, so we'll have to unsolder it. So we have got some internal presets. Some of them are labelled, which is handy. Obviously that's the modulation transformer. We've got some controls that you look like you can actually get some spray into as these sets get older. So of course it's a fiberglass board on this, as these type of sets have been recently. See whether that soldering iron's ready. I didn't switch the soldering iron on because this isn't a repair, it's just a optimization. Let's see how it comes out of the box. So we'll get this connected up. We'll use our handy crocodile clips in the hope we can short them together. Might have to pull a bit more wire out. And we'll plug this into the test equipment. We're on that a walkie-talkie last, which I had to abandon. It was a Team Pico 8000, and when you take it apart, the boards interconnect in their sandwich, and once you've done that, the radio can no longer be operated, which means we can't make any adjustments without extender leads or extender cards, which would be something they would supply to authorised dealers probably, or just even at factory level. So there's absolutely nothing I can do with it, so it's gone back in the box. So we've got a mic with this. It isn't really blue, that's just a protective plastic. You've got up, down and lock. You've got a 6-pin plug. So we'll switch on the power supply. I will set it to 13.8 volts. And we'll switch the radio on. And as you can see, it's in EC mode, so it's going to do nothing on the UK band until we tell it we're in the UK. So if I press the, I'm sure there's a band switch here somewhere. So that's, I no doubt we'll change it from EC to UK when we're in UK mode. So this is what I'm talking about. You get a new set out of the box. Not everybody has done this forever, and not everybody, or people have done it in the past and sets weren't multi-norms. So the first thing we need to do is frequency band selection. So with the radio switched off, turn it on whilst pressing AM, FM and scan buttons together at the same time. Rotate the channel knob till the desired frequency band comes up, and then to lock in this selection, press AM, FM. So it's AM, FM and scan. So that's those two buttons while switching it on. Now with the rotary channel selector, we're going to select UK from the list. There we are. And with AM, FM, we lock it in. So now we're on the UK band. So when hopefully I press this, it'll go to CPT. Oh, perhaps it doesn't. Ah, yes. And then it'll do AM and FM, and then a long press will take us back to UK. So it's pretty much like the Midland 78, insofar as it then selects a country where that's where AM FM on CPT is permitted, and is of course now, but it doesn't actually say EU, it says I on the display. Is that for Ireland? Anyway, it does work as you want it to. So we're working on UK, we're not interested in anything else. Select channel 20, we're optimising it for the centre of the UK band. If you're optimising it for the 80 channels available to you, do this on channel 1 of the UK or channel 40 of the CPT band, so you're in the centre. But say we're only interested in the UK band, and so we're optimising it in the middle of the UK band. So we want to see how much power this thing's doing on transmit. Are we going to place our bets? Is it going to be 2.5 watts? We're on the 3 watt scale, so full deflection is 3 watts. Let's have a look. Hey, it's gone above 3 watts. It's exactly 3 watts. 3.05, something like that. Let's look at the deviation. Will it be 1.4 kilocycles? Wallow. It is 1.6 kilocycles. Aren't we doing well? And while we're at it, let's put the synad meter on. We're not going to be able to alter anything on receive because it's all factory set in the way these things are manufactured. Well, where's my little jack plug gone? Put that in extension speaker. Make sure we've got RF and mic gain up, which we were. Check the Squelch is in manual. And set the frequency counter to 2779125, so we're on channel 20. You may remember I did a Eurosonic ES200, I think it was the last set we did, and we got quite good range on that. I think it was 4 miles over the difficult terrain course, and somebody commented that they've got one with a green display. I thought it was a slightly different model when you got the green display, but of course that may not be the case. It's like you can get a Maxcom 4E with a green display. It's called a Maxcom Super 4E. Anyway, I bought ES220, and that should be on its way, so we'll see what difference there is. Perhaps that's got a green display. And I know people have commented they've got the LCD version, which is one I'm aware of but haven't actually seen in person. And we've got a Binatone Long Ranger 40 coming in for service from a customer. Okay, there we are. So I'll put this on now over to the synad meter. So for 12 decibel synad, the radio's doing 0.95 microvolts, and that isn't that good by today's standards. I wonder what it tells you in the book. Yeah, I'm on DX. No, it's not me. Specification. No specification in the book. That tells you what you can do in what country. So it's probably on the box. No, they don't tell you what it does. So you can't say, well, that didn't work very well, because it didn't tell you anyway. Okay, so let's get on with it. Transmit. We'll go back to that. Let's see what adjustments we've got. So we've got transmit power, AM modulation, which we won't be touching because we're not doing AM. DAS will be digital auto squelch. Oh, receiving TX meter. Oh, that's what that'll be. That'll be TX meter. TXM, not TX medium power. Oh, it sounds like it's got a real meter for once. So we can adjust the frequency. Let's check that for starters. (27.79125), 27.79131. I've only had the test instrument on 15 minutes. I wouldn't adjust it till the test instrument been on 30 minutes, and that looks spot on to me because they drop down with age. But if it wasn't spot on, it's TC301 just down there. So transmit power. Let's have a look. Is that the right tool? It is. Let's turn the volume down. So we'll go over to that. So we're currently just over the 3 watts there, and that's 4 watts. So let's see what we can get. So we don't turn these to full, we turn these to where there's no more difference. And it's 3.5. So that's like the Midland 78. So I'm now going to assume that that's the transmit meter. So let's see whether that varies. And it does, and it isn't affecting the power on the... So there we are at 4. Well, that's quite unusual. As I say, most power meters are fake these days. So while we're looking at power, we're at 13.8 volts. Let's see what happens if we jack the power supply up to 14.4 volts, like some cars, including my Nissan Leaf, charge at. I don't do this with customer sets, but I'll do this with my sets. So we're at 13.8 volts. Let's key up. 3.5 watts. We'll put it to 14.4, and we'll go up to 4 watts. So it would be full 4 watts in my car. So if we take this down to 12 volts, the radio now only does 2.5 watts. So it's very dependent on its input voltage. Because some radios are very well regulated, not these. So it alleges it's a 24 volt set. It says 12 volts. It says 24. I'm going to switch the set off. I'm going to turn the power supply to 24 volts. There we are, 24 volts. Switch the radio back on. Press transmit, and it's doing a full 4 watts. I'm not sliding the voltage up because I don't know how the regulation works on it. So we're back to 13.8. So our next thing is deviation. Now, did we see? We didn't see that. Yes, FM mod, they call it. We know what they mean. So we'll adjust that. See whether that comes out about right. Well, I want it. That's spot on. Good. Well, that's transmit done. And there's nothing we can do to receive because there's no adjustments in the way this is manufactured. So let's check where the squelch is. Let's turn the signal generator. Oh no, we'll turn the squelch to full. Now we are squelched to full. I've said many times before, I want this to come in so that the squelch opens at the equivalent of S9, and it doesn't. So I need to adjust the manual preset for squelch, if it has one. It doesn't, you know. So at what point does it come in? Well, it comes in at 3 millivolts, which is far too high, but at least it comes in. So let's check auto squelch. So I've switched to, oh, I've just turned it off. So that's turned to auto squelch, and let's see when auto squelch comes in. Coming in at 10 microvolts, which is a bit harsh. So let's see whether we can adjust that. I've set the signal generator to 7 microvolts. Let's just see whether we can adjust that. We can. So now we've got it coming in at 4 microvolts and going off at 2 microvolts. So that's a more acceptable result. Now, I'm just wondering, has that affected the manual squelch? We'll turn that to full once again. No, it hasn't. So that's still a bit harsh, but it does at least come in at some point. So let's just make sure I haven't overlooked a preset for manual squelch. It's going to be in this kind of area. We've got receive meter to look at. We've got squelch. It'll be that one. So once again, we'll set that to 100 microvolts. Show you the attenuator. 100 microvolts. And hopefully we can adjust the squelch preset there. Like that. And we can, 100 microvolts. So now we can check the sensitivity. Turn the signal generator to standby. The red light there shows that the signal generator is on. It's parked at 0.3 of a microvolt. Let's turn the squelch on the radio to threshold. There we go. Switch the signal generator. Hello. Switch the signal generator on, and it now comes in at 1 microvolt, leaves at 0.8 microvolts. Now then, let's see what we can hear this radio down to. We've already said that the receive is only 0.9 microvolts for 12 decibel silent, but I don't think it's very good. But what can we hear it down to? Well, right now you're listening to 0.8, so there's 1 microvolt, 0.8, 0.7, 6. To be honest, I can't hear anything lower than 0.6 microvolt. We'll run that test again. Now I've done everything which we're going to do apart from the S meter. So let's once again set this for 12 dB. I would say that's there. 0.95 microvolts. There you go. Right. So back to 100 microvolts, we've got an S9 equivalent signal on, and we need the meter to read S9. At the moment it's reading S5.5. So with the preset which says RXM, which will be RX meter, let's adjust that now for S9. There we are. So now we turn up the signal generator and we get plus 30. We turn it down, it'll probably be a bit more meaningful than how it came. So that's it. We're done. So I will recap on these. So we've got transmit power, and as I said before, when you adjust that, it's for when, as you turn it, you get to a point where there is no more increase in power, even though the preset can increase. It's a bit like driving up a hill in your car, because we're assuming everyone's got a manual car like you would in Britain, and there's a point at which you're not going to get any more acceleration without changing gear, and it's that point, there's no point putting more gas on it, because all you're going to do is saturate it, add wear, and not actually get more transmit power. So that's the point at which, and it's 3.5 watts, which with the 14.4 volt input does give you 4 watts. And that stays well regulated right up to 24 volts. Don't buy this to put in your caravan running off a car battery, because it's only going to do 2.5 watts, we've proved that. So there's transmit power. There's transmit power on the meter. There's receive, setting S9 on the meter, which in the UK is 100 microvolts to give you that S9. There's AM modulation, which we're not touching because we're not going into AM, because I'm not interested in AM. But it is there for those people who are, and you'd be setting that for something like 95% modulation. My experience is they're usually pretty good as the way they come out of the box on AM. DAS is digital auto squelch, so we've set that a little bit less harsh than it was, because it was 10 microvolts. We've now set it for about 7 or 8 microvolts, still a bit high, but then we've gone for the standard squelch there, and we've made sure that the maximum is S9. And then we've got FM mod, it says, which is your deviation. We've set that for 2.2 with an absolute maximum of 2.5. Which came out of the box 1.6, which would make the radio quiet. And then the frequency adjustments, which we didn't need to touch. Now we're rabbiting on a bit longer. Let's see what it's now doing. So it's 2779.130. 2779.134. Still not going to touch it. So there we have it. There's nothing else to discuss. So yeah, it works all right. I just wish it would do 4 watts lower in the power range for, you know, nearer a 12 volt battery. So if you've got a car that charges at the normal 13.8, you're not going to get the full power output. This loves shorting out, this red wire. Right, so we'll put it together and we'll pop it on the aerial, and we'll see if at 9:20 on a Friday morning, it's not Friday, is it? It's Wednesday. It's New Set Wednesday. See whether anybody's actually out there. So just put this speaker back on. But don't be under the misapprehension that if you buy a high level in the range expensive set like this, it works better than a £59.99 entry model from another make, because this doesn't, does it? The receive isn't there. Doesn't mean it isn't going to do scratchy corner. But we've got Rotel 230 here doing 0.27 of a microvolt. We've got this doing 0.95 of a microvolt. You know, and this is 38 years newer. And you think, well, why? And, you know, why indeed? They've got rid of all the adjustments, haven't they? They've got this select on test method of assembly. And here we are. What can I say? Oh, I think we've got a handheld coming from our wholesaler today. I might do that as well. And you know, we use this Capo Panther around the place because it's kind of handy size, and I think it's another branded lookalike to that. Is it Joe Picks or something like that? Or is that something you wear during cricket? I don't know. So we need to put the longer screws in the side. Why isn't that lining up to go in? No idea. Because that one looks lined up there. Yeah, that's gone in. And that's now helped that go in. When you're screwing anything like these together, don't do them tight on all the screws at once. It's something you need to tighten when they're all in and somewhere snug. Again, that one doesn't want to go in initially. So now we'll put that short one in the back, but again I won't tighten it down yet. So now we'll tighten the rest up. These screws are so stiff. I won't be able to play the organ this afternoon. Talking of my work as a church organist, I've got a wedding on Saturday. I started discussing the music with the bride and groom about 6 weeks ago. And there's been no mention since, so am I going to turn up with nothing, or am I going to email them and say politely, you know, time's moving on, I think we need to be knowing what hymns you're having, etc. There we go. So we'll now remove the test instruments. And we'll now plug in the workshop aerial instead. Right, power back on. I'm not a lover of blue displays, and it would be nice if you could alter the colour of this, but you can't. So 19. One on a Roger. Well, something out there. So normally when we're here, the people you're hearing on here are going to be 35 miles away, either Nottingham or Lincoln. Or even Boston. It has got scan on here, so if we set the squelch and press scan, to be honest, that sounds like SSB interference, which shouldn't even be there. Yeah, the fact is between channel. We'll up the squelch to compensate. So there you have it, the new Midland Allen 48 Pro, and I'm recording this in September 2021. Thank you for watching.